Welcome everyone to our deep dive. Today we're taking a trip into the future. The future of luxury, that is. That world of, incredible experiences and brands that just sort of whisper to you.
A world of quiet elegance.
Exactly. And to guide us, we have a fascinating report. It's called Luxury's Great Reset, and it's from the Independence Group.
They're a collective of agencies really at the forefront of working with top luxury and lifestyle brands.
Right. And what makes this report so interesting, so juicy, is how they put it together. You see, they went beyond just asking experts.
Oh, they did. They actually surveyed 900 luxury
Yeah.
consumers.
And not just in one place. We're talking 6 major markets.
China, France, Italy.
UAE, the UK, the US, the whole gamut.
And they asked them about their luxury preferences, but here's the really cool part. They asked them at 3 different points in time.
Hmm.
5 years ago, now, and 3 years into the future.
So we get this incredible, multidimensional view of how luxury is evolving.
It really reveals a fascinating shift in how we think about and experience luxury.
And the big takeaway. The report says luxury is changing. Big time.
It's no longer just about showing off your wealth. It's something much deeper, more meaningful.
It's about experiences. It's about craftsmanship.
Exactly. The old way of thinking, just chasing the latest id bag to flaunt a logo, that's losing its shine.
People are over it.
They are.
So let's dig into some of these future drivers. One that really caught my eye is the decline of trends. I mean, we are bombarded with trends every single day.
Oh, absolutely. Fashion, food, tech, everything. It's overwhelming.
It's exhausting. But it seems like luxury consumers are craving something more.
Substance over superficiality. Exactly. The report predicts that this drive to be trendy, to be in the know, it'll actually drop by over 6 percentage points by 2027.
That's a pretty big shift.
Uh,
Makes you wonder, though, are we just replacing one trend with another? Because the report also talks about the rise of culture as a driver, but then it says even culture's influence will decline.
you've hit on a really insightful point. You see, culture can become just as generic and meaningless as a fleeting trend.
It's like everyone's trying to tap into the same cultural moment,
Yeah,
and that makes it, well, less special.
precisely. Less unique.
So what's the solution here? What can brands do?
They need to shift their thinking. Instead of chasing generic notions of culture, they should aim to create their own.
Their own unique cultural universes.
Yes. Think about those immersive worlds you see in entertainment, like Star Wars or Marvel.
Those worlds have depth, they have continuity.
A distinct identity that really resonates with fans. It's not just about selling products, it's about inviting you into a carefully crafted world.
So instead of just sponsoring the latest art fair or music festival, brands need to think bigger.
Create experiences that are truly part of their story. Experiences that feel authentic, exclusive, and, well, luxurious.
And speaking of things money can't buy, the report highlights another really interesting shift. Curated communities.
Ah, yes. Belonging is becoming the new status symbol.
It makes sense. We're social creatures. We crave connection.
Uh-huh.
But in the world of luxury, how does this actually play out?
Well, think about it. Luxury used to be about setting yourself apart, being exclusive. Now it's more about belonging to something.
A community that shares your values, your interests, your passion.
Exactly. But brands need to be careful here.
It can't just be about slapping a logo on an online forum or throwing a fancy party.
You're right, you're right. The key is authenticity. It has to be genuine. The real challenge is to blend those digital communities with real-world experiences.
So what are some examples? What can brands actually offer that truly fosters this sense of community?
Imagine intimate dinners hosted by world-renowned chefs, exclusive workshops, or even just spaces where people can connect, face to face.
Like private salons.
Exactly. It's a revival, in a way, of that old salon culture where intellectuals and artists would gather, share ideas.
It's about those intimate, enriching experiences that you just can't find anywhere else.
And it's something people crave in our fast-paced digital world.
So we've talked about trends, culture, community, and these unique experiences. But how does all this affect what luxury consumers actually BUI? Are we seeing a shift away from those traditional luxury items?
We are indeed. The report dives into the enriching objects, as they call them, and there are some fascinating trends emerging there as well. And yes, some of the traditional luxury goods, they're facing some headwinds.
Like those iconic handbags.
Yeah.
And designer clothes.
Exactly. For instance, the report predicts that interest in luxury handbags is going to drop by almost 14 percentage points by 2027. And designer clothes, over 11 percentage points.
Wow. Is the era of the it bag truly over?
It might be too early to say that definitively, but it's definitely facing challenges.
Why is that?
Well, there are a few things at play here. The economy, for one, we're living in uncertain times, and people are being more careful with their money, especially when those it bags keep getting more expensive.
Absolutely. And those rising prices, especially in markets like China, make those goods less accessible.
Hmm.
But I think it's more than just the economy, right?
Mm.
There's a deeper shift happening.
Yes. I think people are tired of the endless cycle of trends. They're seeking pieces that have lasting value.
Emotionally, but also, in some cases, financially.
Exactly. And that's why we're seeing a resurgence of interest in luxury vintage.
I love that. It's like giving those pieces the second life.
It taps into that desire for individuality, sustainability, and a sense of history we were talking about.
And that thrill of the hunt, finding that one-of-a-kind piece that speaks to you.
It's not just about owning something expensive. It's about understanding the craftsmanship, the heritage, the story behind the piece, and expressing your personal style in a unique way.
And let's be honest, luxury vintage can be a smart investment. Some of those pieces go up in value over time, especially from those coveted brands.
Speaking of things that appreciate in value, the report also shows a significant increase in interest in art and interior design investments.
That's interesting. It seems like art is becoming more and more intertwined with the world of luxury.
It's the luxurification of art, some are calling it.
And fashion figures like Marc Jacobs and Raf Simons, who have been incorporating art into their collections for years, they're bringing that world to a wider audience.
Exactly. And events like Art Basel and Salone de Mobile, they're no longer just industry events. They're major destinations for luxury consumers.
It's all about that desire for experiences that are both enriching and exclusive.
Absolutely. And that desire for experiences extends beyond just art and design. It's one of the key drivers behind the continued dominance of travel and fine dining in the luxury space.
The report predicts that spending on holidays and hotels will increase by over 14 percentage points and fine dining by almost 12 percentage points by 2027. No surprises there, really. Experiences are everything, especially for a generation that's grown up documenting their lives on social media.
That's an important point. Social media plays a huge role in this. It's not just about having the experience, it's about sharing it with the world.
But it also seems to create this desire for less crowded, more boutique experiences. People want to get away from the digital noise.
You're right. They're seeking out those hidden gems, those secluded resorts, those intimate dining experiences.
That's a fascinating paradox.
Huh.
Social media fuels the desire for these experiences, but it also drives the need for escape from the digital world.
And speaking of the virtual world, let's talk about the voices that are influencing luxury consumers in this new era, because who they listen to is just as important as what they buy, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The right influencer can make or break a brand, especially when it comes to luxury. But the question is, who are these tastemakers shaping the desires of luxury consumers? And how is that landscape changing? Well, we'll delve into that fascinating question right after this. Welcome back to our deep dive into the future of luxury. So before the break, we were talking about influencers and how that whole landscape is changing.
It is. The report, Luxury's Great Reset, highlights this really interesting move away from those, big name celebrity influencers.
So less about being famous and more about being, well, relatable.
Exactly. Consumers are getting smarter, more discerning. They're not just blindly following celebrities anymore. They want to connect with people who share their values, their passions.
It's like getting advice from a trusted friend, not just someone who's paid to endorse a product.
Precisely.
So who are these new trusted friends in the luxury space? Are we talking about niche creators,
Well,
local influencers?
you got it. The report predicts the influence of local influencers is going to jump by over 8 percentage points by 2027.
Wow.
And these are people who've built really strong, engaged communities, often focused on specific niches, whether it's sustainable fashion, artisanal food, travel, whatever. Their recommendations carry a lot of weight because it's coming from a place of genuine passion.
It's a far cry from those mass influencer campaigns we've seen in the past, right?
Right.
Where brands just plastered social media with generic endorsements from, well, anyone with a big following.
Right, and consumers are tired of that. They can see right through it. They want authenticity, that personal connection.
And they're finding it in these niche communities led by people who genuinely believe in what they're promoting.
Exactly.
But what about celebrities? Are they completely irrelevant in this new world?
Not necessarily. They still hold a certain allure, especially if they align authentically with a brand's values. But here's the interesting thing. We're seeing this growing interest in CEOs, athletes, entrepreneurs.
People want to be inspired by real achievements, by people who have walked the walk, overcome challenges, and succeeded.
It's like they're looking for mentors, for guidance from people who've been there.
And this ties into another fascinating trend the report highlights: podcasts as a platform for influence.
Oh, absolutely. Podcasts offer this incredible level of intimacy, you know? You're right there in someone's ear, hearing their story, their struggles, their triumphs.
It's such a powerful way to build trust, especially in the luxury world where storytelling is so crucial.
A good podcast can transport you right into the heart of a brand, you know? Let you experience their heritage, their craftsmanship, their values.
It's all about creating that immersive emotional connection.
Exactly. And that leads us to another shift in how brands are approaching influencer marketing. A move towards curation and collaboration.
So it's less about just paying for endorsements and more about being strategic with these partnerships.
Yes. It's about creating meaningful collaborations, you know, things that resonate with both the influencer's audience and the brand's target market.
Like those Mew literary clubs.
Perfect example. That's a brand tapping into an existing community, creating an experience that feels both authentic and exclusive.
It's not just about slapping a logo on an event or
Mhm.
sending free stuff to someone with 1 million followers.
Right. It's about those shared values, creating content that's engaging, informative.
Content that adds value to people's lives.
Exactly. And this brings us to another crucial aspect of this great reset, how physical spaces are changing. Because even in our digital world, the places where we experience luxury, they still matter.
They do. And let's be real, e-commerce is not going away. In fact, the report predicts a huge jump, like 48 percentage point increase by 2027.
Huge, but physical retail, it's not dead, it's evolving.
It's transforming.
Exactly. Brick and mortar stores aren't just about transactions anymore. They're becoming immersive brand experiences, places where you can really connect with a brand, discover their story, engage with products in a way you just can't online.
I think we've all had that moment where you step into a beautiful store and you're just transported.
Oh, yeah?
It's like walking into a theater set. Every detail curated to evoke an emotion, tell a story.
And that's exactly what luxury brands are aiming for. They're turning their stores into destinations.
Immersive experiences.
Yes. And the report highlights brands like Dior and Gentle Monster as pioneers in this space.
Dior's flagship store in Paris, for example. It's
Yeah.
not just a store, it's an experience.
Yeah.
A museum, a restaurant, even private apartments.
It's about creating a world that people want to inhabit, a world that reflects the brand.
And Gentle Monster, that South Korean eyewear brand. Their stores are like art installations, theatrical, constantly pushing boundaries.
It's fascinating to see how brands are blurring those lines between retail, art, entertainment, creating these hybrid spaces that engage all your senses.
And this isn't just limited to stores. It's changing how brands approach events and exhibitions, too.
Absolutely. Immersive brand experiences are huge. People want to go to events that offer a sense of discovery, exclusivity.
And, of course, those Instagrammable moments.
Of course. We've already mentioned Gucci Cosmos, that amazing celebration of their history, but there are so many others. Brands are pouring resources into creating these spectacular productions, transporting people to another world, whether it's a fashion show in a fantastical setting, a pop-up experience.
So I think they're taking cues from the entertainment industry, right?
Yeah.
Putting on these grand spectacles that leave a lasting impression.
Exactly. And even traditionally exclusive events like fashion shows, they're changing too. Brands realize they need to cater to both physical and digital audiences.
It's not just about the people in the front row anymore.
Right. They're using interactive elements, live streaming, social media, to create an experience that transcends boundaries.
Smart.
They're reaching a global audience, amplifying the impact of these events.
It's a clever way to be more accessible while still maintaining that sense of exclusivity.
Exactly. And that's a key challenge for luxury brands today. How to welcome a wider audience without alienating their core customers.
And they're doing it through these tiered access strategies.
Right. You might have open events for the public where anyone can get a taste of the brand. And then you have exclusive experiences reserved for those VIPs, those loyal customers.
It's a way to build community at different levels, letting consumers engage in a way that's comfortable for them.
While the brand can cultivate deeper relationships with those who are truly committed.
That whole concept of community and tiered access, it seems to be popping up everywhere in this report.
It is, and it connects to another interesting trend, the rise of hyperlocal activations. Brands are realizing they need to connect with specific communities on a personal level.
So instead of trying to create a one-size-fits-all experience,
Right. They're tailoring their activations to specific regions, cities, taking those cultural nuances into account.
it's about being relevant,
Yeah.
authentic, understanding what makes a particular community tick, and creating experiences that resonate with them.
Exactly. It's fascinating to see how this community building idea is weaving its way through every aspect of the luxury experience. Influencer marketing, retail design, event planning.
It's a testament to the power of human connection, wouldn't you say? Even in our increasingly digital world.
Absolutely. We crave connection, we crave community, we want to feel like we belong. And luxury brands are recognizing this and adapting.
This report really paints a fascinating picture of how the luxury landscape is evolving. But where does it all lead? What's next for these brands and the people who love them? That's what we'll explore after a quick break. Welcome back to our deep dive into luxury's Great Reset.
As we've been talking about all these changes, it really strikes me how the definition of luxury itself seems to be, well, shifting.
It really is a profound transformation. We're moving away from that focus on exclusivity, conspicuous consumption, and towards something, well, something much deeper.
It's becoming less about what you own and more about what you know, who you connect with. And those stories, those experiences you create through your engagement with these brands, it's like almost a return to the roots of luxury, back when craftsmanship and heritage were really at the heart of it.
That's a great point. It's like we're rediscovering the true essence of luxury, stripping away all that superficial stuff, all the hype, and getting back to something more meaningful, something with real, lasting value. And this report, it gives us this really fascinating glimpse into what this future of luxury might look like. This world where brands are like curators, right?
The curators of culture, community.
Yeah. Where those physical and digital spaces, they just kind of blend together.
Seamlessly.
And where experiences are, well, they're personalized, unforgettable.
It's a world where consumers are much more, I'd say, discerning, more informed, and definitely more demanding. They're not just looking for a product or a service. They're looking for brands that share their values, brands that offer a sense of belonging, brands that help them, create a life that's full of meaning and purpose.
It's a high bar for these brands to reach,
It is.
but it also presents this incredible opportunity, a chance to redefine their role, to move beyond just selling luxury goods and become, well, almost like architects of culture.
Cultivators of community.
Exactly. Creators of experiences that actually enrich people's lives.
But to get there, it requires a real shift in thinking. These brands need to embrace a more collaborative approach, a more community-driven approach.
They need to actually listen to their consumers, understand what they want, and create experiences together.
It's about moving beyond that transactional relationship and really tapping into the power of, connection, shared experience.
And that brings us to this thought-provoking question that the report asks, one that I think is really worth considering as we wrap up our deep dive today. What will your luxury legacy be in this new era?
It's a powerful question. It forces us to think beyond the material, and consider what impact we want to make on the world through our engagement with luxury. What do we value? What communities do we want to support? What experiences do we want to create or be a part of?
It encourages us to define luxury for ourselves, to move beyond those traditional markers of status and wealth, and really embrace something, well, something much more holistic.
More purpose-driven.
Yes, it's about recognizing that true luxury isn't just about having nice things or indulging in, fancy experiences.
It's about living a life that's aligned with your values, a life that's full of meaning and connection and purpose.
And that, everyone, is the ultimate luxury. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.